dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew? It's your boy DJ Nuki, your girl.
Sierra Nicole.
We back on the channel with another
Kid and C original.
Cause ain't none of my shit just here tonight at all.
Okay, and that's cool. Well, you know.
Like, I'm happy. It's Welcome back to the channel, man. We got Mr. Ballen. What's all this? We got Mr. Ballen for y'all today, man. We got top 3 videos with disturbing backstories. This is part 9 for y'all, man. This is part 9 of the series. So, with that being said, man, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, every single time, we salute to the comment of the day.
Salute to you.
We highly appreciate it, man. Keep running us up. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, lock it in with a thumbs up, man. But, y'all know, we don't play no game when it comes to Mr. Ballen. We'll go ahead and get into it. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get into it, y'all.
Today, I'm going to share 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I will share the video that is famously associated with them. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel, because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's sleeping pills with caffeine pills right before their 14-hour plane ride from Hawaii to Okinawa, Japan. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In June of 2018, 18-year-old straight-A student Tyler Turner graduated from his high school in Central California. In the fall of that year, he was scheduled to go to the University of California, Merced with a full scholarship. He planned to study biochemical engineering because he was born with cerebral palsy and wanted to help other people with the condition. In August of that year, one of Tyler's friends said they wanted to go skydiving to celebrate their birthday. Tyler was nervous about it, but he had never done it before and figured, you know what, it'll be fun, I'll do it. His mother, Francine, who was very close with her son, was very nervous about her son jumping out of a plane.
I know this story.
I'm about to say, it sounds familiar.
This is the worst story. Oh, Mom. This is horrible. I'm sorry, y'all.
Okay, I can't remember. I kind of remember some of it because even when he showed the graduation picture.
I don't remember the graduation photo, but soon as you start getting into it, I said, oh, this was horrible, bro.
She asked if she could tag along to provide moral support and maybe take some pictures, and he said that was fine. So on the 6th of the month, Tyler and his mother hopped in the car and drove over an hour north to the Lodi Parachute Center, where they met up with Tyler's other 3 friends. They were all very nervous, but very excited. So the group went inside the main building, and Tyler went up to the counter, and he paid $100 for a single tandem jump from 13,000 feet. A tandem jump is when 2 people jump together under one parachute. And so most commonly, you're going to have the instructor who's got the parachute on his or her back, and then on their chest, harnessed at 4 different points, is going to be their student or whoever they're jumping with, and they don't have a parachute. They're just tethered to the instructor who has the parachute. And so in this case, Tyler would be strapped onto his instructor. And so the advantage for Tyler as a first-time jumper is that he would not need to do anything once they're in free fall. The instructor would be 100% in control of keeping them steady in the air, of pulling the parachute, of dealing with any malfunctions, of flying the canopy, and of landing. It's all done by the instructor. After paying, Tyler and his mother walked over and met his instructor, the guy he'd be strapped onto. It was a 25-year-old man named Young Kwan who told him he had jumped over 700 times. And so Young told Tyler that he needed to watch a safety video before they did anything else. And so Tyler and his mother walked into the room, they sat down, the TV turned on, and a very simple safety video came on. And partway through it, another instructor walked in and just turned it off and told Tyler and his mother, you've seen enough, you guys can go. Francine was a little bit alarmed at this.
Hell no. If it's protocol to watch the whole, like, why would you? Like, I don't know that. I never heard that part.
You know what I'm saying?
That is very rude and disrespectful, especially comes to...
Yeah.
Man.
And told Tyler and his mother, you've seen enough, you guys can go. Francine was a little bit alarmed at this behavior because it seemed odd to skip over safety when you're jumping out of a plane for the first time, but she figured, you know what, they must know what they're doing, I'm sure it's fine. Just before 10 a.m., Yong helped Tyler get into his tandem jump harness that would allow him to connect onto Yong's chest, and then afterward, Tyler walked over to his mom, gave her a big hug, told her he loved her, and then he departed his mother and walked his way over to the staging area where he and the other jumpers that included his friends were waiting for the plane to start so they could actually board. While they waited, Tyler was really nervous and his instructor picked up on it, and so to put Tyler at ease, he began filming Tyler and interviewing him about his upcoming jump to kind of make light of the whole situation, and it seemed to work.
My name is Tyler Turner.
What do I do here?
I am gonna jump out of a plane.
It's your first time.
First time indeed. That's my mom over there. Hello, very loving mom. Done a lot for me in my life. Hope more that she'll help me with more of my life because I want to make it. Okay, we're gonna make it.
After they recorded this video, the plane was ready to go, so it was time to start boarding, and so Tyler and his instructor walked over, but Tyler stopped on the tarmac, he took a knee and prayed, and then he stood back up, he turned to his mother, he waved one more time, and then he boarded the plane. After a little while, the plane took off, and then after a little while longer, it was up at 13,000 feet flying in circular patterns, and that's when Francine started looking up, looking for her son, and at some point she started seeing jumpers come out of the plane. And they were so far away, she couldn't possibly make out who was who, and so as the jumpers began pulling their parachutes, and all the different colored parachutes are lighting up the sky, she was trying to remember what color her son's parachute was, but she couldn't remember, and so she asked the other people that were watching, that were relatives or friends of the people up there, if they knew what color her son's parachute was, but nobody knew. As they got lower and lower, and you could actually start to make out who the jumpers were, she didn't see her son. And that's because her son's parachute never opened, and unfortunately, his instructor, Yong, was not able to fix the malfunction or fire off the reserve, and so they both crashed into the ground, killing them both instantly. Tyler's family sued the owner of the parachute facility after they discovered Tyler's instructor, Yong, was not even certified to be an instructor, and so would not have received any of the required training on how to handle parachute malfunctions, and the owner knew about it. Investigators also discovered that 20 people had died skydiving at this facility under the same owner, a ridiculously high number of fatalities that most people involved are attributing to the owner's general disregard for safety. And ultimately, a judge agreed with that sentiment and awarded the Turner family $40 million from the owner of this facility.
Yeah, that was just, yeah.
Wow.
That's the reason why
I kind of remembered, but I didn't remember that he was not certified. I didn't remember that 20 people had already lost their lives. I didn't remember that.
I knew the whole story. Like, and that's the reason why when it first came out, I was like, yeah, I remember every bit and piece of that story.
And then you had the nerve to say in the beginning that you done 700 people done jumped.
No, he said he done jumped 700 times.
Oh.
He said I've jumped 700 times.
By yourself? Like, what do you mean by that? You know
or he could have took a lot of people up, but he wasn't never certified. Because the owner just needed people to jump.
That is so unfortunate, man. That is so sad. And
and he was already nervous and scared.
Right.
So you telling me when we jump out, now the parachute ain't coming out.
And you're not even trained
to even get it out
with malfunction, parachute. Well,
which could have saved both of y'all.
Could have saved both of y'all.
And you know how freaked out he was because he was already freaked out to even go.
But the fact that the owner even allowed this to be going on at his,
and I think it's still open.
Come on now. But there's never an amount of money that could ever make me feel better or bring my child. You know what I'm saying? Or a loved one. Period.
In 1962, Chalino Sanchez was born into a poor family in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. When he was just 15 years old, one of his sisters was assaulted by a very rich and powerful man in their town, and so he never got punished for it. 2 years later, when Chalino was 17, he saw this man at a party, and he walked up to him and shot him in the head, killing him instantly. After the murder, Chalino fled to Tijuana before ultimately crossing the US border into Los Angeles, where he stayed with his aunt. He worked odd jobs like picking vegetables and selling cars before he ultimately went into business with his brother, who was back in Mexico, and he worked with him to smuggle Mexicans into the US. But that operation stopped in 1984 when his brother was murdered in Tijuana. To commemorate his brother, Chalino, who always loved music, wrote a song about him. And he formatted the song in the typical Mexican ballad style called corrido, but his lyrics were graphic and gritty, something nobody else did when they wrote a corrido. Chalino spoke honestly and openly, not only about how his brother was killed, but also the struggles of living around drug trafficking and violence in Mexico. Shortly after writing the song, Chalino wound up in jail in Tijuana, Mexico, and while he was there, he would sing the song he wrote about his brother, and other inmates heard it and loved it. They had never heard a corrido sung like that. And so they asked Chalino if he would write songs about them and their exploits. Soon, Chalino was being commissioned by all these inmates in this prison to write their songs in exchange for money and for favors. When Chalino got out of prison, his unique songwriting abilities had spread beyond the prison walls to other criminals and drug traffickers and kingpins in Mexico, and before long, Chalino was being approached by those people to write their songs. His corridos pioneered a new subgenre of music called narco corrido for their ties to the narcotics industry. Some people today compare the style and lyrics of the narco corrido to gangster rap. By 1987, Chalino's music was not just being shared amongst his paying clients. It had spread into Los Angeles and all over Mexico and was becoming very popular, even though it wasn't being played on the radio because radios thought his lyrics were too graphic. And so it was spreading largely because of word of mouth and because Chalino himself would go to car washes and street corners and he would sell his cassettes to anybody who would take them. By 1991, Chalino was so famous that he actually went on tour, and everywhere he went, the venue would be completely sold out. But given what his narco corridos were about, largely about drug trafficking and the people that are involved in that ecosystem, the people that would actually come to his performances were often rough and dangerous people, or were...
That's crazy, bruh.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. Like, I'm gonna have to go look into this genre. You know what I'm saying? Well, I ain't gonna be able to understand none of the music because it's in Spanish, but it might be a vibe. I'm gonna look up some lyrics, bro.
You probably get the feel of it.
The people that would actually come to his performances were often rough and dangerous people, or were at least tied to rough and dangerous people. In 1992, when Chalino was performing in California, while he was on stage, this 33-year-old guy rushed onto stage with him and drew a gun on him, and Chalino, who was always carrying a weapon himself, drew his pistol and fired at this guy first. And then what ensued was this crazy gunfight on stage, practically point blank, between Chalino and this guy, and they both managed to shoot each other. Chalino got shot in the lung, and this guy got shot in the mouth. They would both survive, but 8 audience members also got shot, and one of them actually died. This made international headlines, and by all accounts, should have devastated Chalino's career. But in fact, it had the opposite effect. It made him 10 times more famous because Chalino, he was representing narco corrido music. And so in being the face of that, he kind of represented drug trafficking and criminals and outlaws all over Mexico and in the United States. And so he was kind of representing a very tough group of people. And so for him to have stood his ground on stage and shot first at this guy coming to attack him, it made him look brave. It made him look like a warrior. It validated him as the right person to be the face of narco corridos. But Chalino also understood that this probably was not the last time that someone was going to try to hurt him. That in virtue of being the face of narco culture, there's bound to be people that are very violent that don't like him, and they might come after him too. And so he actually told his inner circle that he thought his days were numbered, that at some point someone was going to kill him. 4 months after the shootout, Chalino was back home in Sinaloa, Mexico, performing at a concert that his friends had told him he shouldn't do because he had lots of enemies in his hometown. But Chalino really wanted to do it. He got into the venue, he got on stage, his band was getting ready.
It always is your hometown, bro. And I don't know why people get on.
You got your biggest haters, all your biggest enemies.
The biggest downfall you can ever have is somewhere you feel, even like your secondary home. Sometimes when people know that you you here, that also be hate because you got other people who's trying to come up and they envy you. They like, I can't make it here, but how that fool gonna come in here and get more love than me, and I'm from here.
That's crazy.
So that can give you a lot of hate too. Yeah. But it always, most of the time, is your hometown. Even in rap, they always tell you, bro, when you start getting any buzz or any leave. Like, these folks envy you.
Sad but true.
Because they know where you come from. Yeah. They know because thing is, a lot of them are they started the same. Everybody started on the same race, right?
Yeah.
But you was able to pass everybody, and they like, why is he the one,
right.
or why is she the one to get rich and famous?
Yep.
Why it couldn't be me?
Yep.
Especially like if you were part of that drug game, that's to be the worst hate, bruh. It's envy, bruh.
The people were coming into the audience, and before the show started, somebody handed him a note. And so Chalino takes the note, he's smiling, he's kind of looking around at the crowd, and then he looks down at the note and he reads it, and right away his expression completely changes. He looks distressed, he rubs his brow, he frowns, he kind of looks up at the crowd like he's looking for someone, and then he just goes blank in the face, and he's looking out like he's looking past the crowd. And it's this long period of time where he's just blank staring into the audience. And then all of a sudden he just snaps out of it, takes the note, puts it in his pocket, picks up the microphone, and proceeds to give one of his best live performances to date. After the concert was over, Chalino made a special effort to say bye to everybody in his band, and he said bye to some people in the crowd, and then finally, after this kind of long, drawn-out goodbye, he walked out the back door. Shortly after, he was kidnapped, tied up, and then shot in the back of the head, execution style. It would turn out that note he received on stage was from his killers, who we don't know exactly who they are still to this day, but the note said, after this performance, we're going to kill you. And so that was the reason Chalino was so distressed, because whoever it was, he obviously understood it was a credible threat. But instead of panicking, he just decided he would give an amazing performance and then face his destiny. And so when he went outside, he knew he was going to get murdered. And he did. Here is the moment Chalino was handed that note on stage, informing him he had been marked for death.
That sucks, bro.
That's so crazy.
And especially in Mexico, like with cause some cartels and like the narco community, they don't like this. You know what I'm saying? Cause you publicize it, and then ain't no telling what his lyrics really talked about. And so also could have been the murder he had did.
You know, like what all this stems from. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
did they kill your brother because you killed somebody?
Or was your brother in some stuff? And
because they like to go after the family.
Saying? Yeah, so it's just like, dang. But to be handed this note, like that's like, you know how some people be like, what you want to know, like the time or how you got to, you know, that's kind of like that situation. You knew that right after this, 9 times out of 10, I'm about to get ready and, you know.
And I ain't trying to even experience.
And then to know how whoever it was, and you probably knew who it was, to know how they.
I ain't gonna say he probably knew. I'm gonna say this: it's the fact that, like, you know these folks serious because you at home, right? So, and you know what your home is capable of.
I wonder who handed him the note. Was it somebody from the? Who gave you this note? Yeah. Like, who gave the person a note to give you the note to be like, hey, you know? I don't know. That's crazy to me. Yeah.
Despite the fact that today there is already tons of shocking content on the internet, there is still something truly insane about Wu Yongning's videos. In 2017, Wu was a 26-year-old climbing enthusiast who was dubbed China's first rooftopper. A rooftopper is someone who, usually illegally, climbs onto rooftops, cranes, smokestacks, big antennas, skyscrapers, or any other really high, dangerous location. Almost always, these daredevils are going to these incredibly dangerous locations in order to capture footage of themselves so they can post it to the internet in hopes that it goes viral and they become famous and make a bunch of money. But because there are so many people competing for the internet's attention, rooftoppers really need to push the envelope if they want to stand out and make it big. And Wu Yongning did just that, and the internet rewarded him with millions of followers and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most rooftoppers would go to the tops of these incredible locations and then take selfies of themselves standing there posing at the top. Wu would do that, but he also did a couple other things that nobody else was doing that kind of became his trademarks. The The first one was he would dangle over the edge of the building or the crane or the antenna that he was holding onto, and he would do pull-ups, but he would keep doing them until he reached muscle failure and then would barely be able to pull himself back up to safety. Another trademark move is he would go to the top of these huge buildings and he would get right on the edge and he would do a handstand and then he would pull one arm back. So he's doing a one-armed handstand and then he would tilt his body as far as he could over the edge until he couldn't do it any farther and he'd let himself come back over to safety. And then perhaps the most difficult to watch trademark was when Wu would basically run up to the edge of buildings and stop just short. And he wouldn't just run to the edge, he would use a self-balancing scooter and go as fast as he could right to the edge of the building and stop just short. And over again, he'd go right to the edge and stop, where he's literally an inch away from tumbling off the edge.
Yo, this is part of, like, this is one of my phobias, and I'm just like, and just hearing somebody like play, like, cause at the end of the day, you playing with your life. Every last second you did it, you playing with your life, and it's like, do you really truly have something to live for? Because if you did, you wouldn't do that. And I'm just like, bro.
That's why there ain't no amount of followers or money can make me do something like that.
Ain't none of that worth it, bro.
I'm sorry.
I don't care how trained you are, how like experienced you are.
I'm sorry.
It only takes that one time.
It does.
He'd line himself up where he knew exactly how far he was from the edge, and he would do these really aggressive somersaults forward, and he would stop with his legs dangling off the edge of the building. And of course, all of these trademark moves were done without any safety equipment, and most times Wu did these stunts without anybody there to potentially pull him back up if he gets stuck. About 3/4 of the way through 2017, Wu had posted over 500 videos and live streaming clips to various social media sites, and he was starting to make some real money off of it. On one video sharing site alone, he had made over $80,000 just from donations that had come in. And so it was clear this was becoming a career. But as the money and the fame were coming into Wu, he started to realize that in order for him to stay on top and keep earning at this level, he would need to continuously outperform his last big stunt. And already he was brushing up against death on virtually every video he took. In early November of that year, Wu heard about a competition that was offering $15,000 to its winner. The details of this competition are hazy at best, but from the sounds of it, it was a viral video competition. Make the most viral video and you win the prize. This competition served as motivation for Wu to finally attempt his craziest stunt yet. He figured if he had the footage of this particular stunt, he was sure to win this competition, and with the prize money, he could pay for his wedding and cover his mother's medical expenses. And so on November 8th, Wu traveled to the Huayan International Center in central China. This massive 62-story skyscraper would be the tallest building Wu had ever performed a stunt on. The public was only able to get up to the 44th floor, and so Wu had to take the elevator up to somewhere between the 40th and 44th floor, at which point he climbed out of a window and free climbed his way all the way up to the top, so 20 additional floors just climbing the side of a skyscraper. Once he got to the rooftop, he set up his tripod and his camera, and he turned on his live stream. And then he walked around and he began preparing himself for the stunt. Live stream viewers that tuned in would see Wu sitting on the edge of the skyscraper, and he's meticulously wiping down the edge of this building. It's the area he'll be grabbing onto to perform his stunt, which was going to be his trademark pull-ups. And so after several minutes of Wu cleaning this ledge, he begins to lower himself where his arms are still tucked up over the ledge. So he's not hanging, he's got his arms kind of anchored on the top. He's like testing the edge of this lip. And he kind of feels around and he can tell that it's not a good grip. It's not good enough for him to go down to a full extension. And so he pulls himself back up and he goes back to wiping down the edge. And from the looks of it, it seems like Wu is actually pretty nervous about this stunt. And normally when you watch Wu's videos, he doesn't seem nervous at all, even leading up to his stunt. But this one just seemed different. And so after again wiping down this ledge as much as he possibly could, he gets himself ready, lowers himself onto his arms, he lets his legs drop over the edge of the building, and then he goes to full extension. And from there, he does 2 complete pull-ups, and then after the second pull-up, he begins to try to pull himself back up to safety. but he's fatigued and he can't quite get himself up over the edge. He starts to use his feet to try to use the glass to push himself back up, but he can't get a grip. And for the next 15 seconds, Wu is desperately trying to get himself up and over this ledge. He's trying to muscle himself up, but it's obvious he's completely fatigued. I mean, he did free climb almost 20 stories to get up there, and so it makes sense his arms would be tired, but there's nobody up there to help pull him up. And so after a while, he goes back to full extension because he can't do anything, and he looks down as if he's sizing up if he can survive this fall, which he obviously can't. And then the camera picks up a sort of whimpering sound that appears to come from Wu, and then he loses his grip and he falls to his death. Here is a segment of his final video right before he fell.
Oh, man.
So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's video, let us know in the comments.
Yo, that is one of my things I do not play with, and that is anything with heights. Because my thing is, with me with heights, I like being on the ground, and I like to be in control of, like, my body being, like, here. Because if I'm in the air, if I fall, you know,
That's what you said.
and the real reason why is because I fell before from heights.
Yeah.
And I fell to the ground from heights before. It might not be as high.
Yeah.
But I know the feeling of not being on the ground and you coming down from the air.
Not having, like, you not having control.
You not having control, and you just.
Because it's already bad enough, like, being on the ground, things still can happen.
Yeah.
So, like, definitely being, like, up in the air and really not having any control.
Because, all right, so you remember the movie 6 Man?
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't.
I remember the movie.
Who in it?
I don't know. I just remember the name.
It's
My
a movie.
goodness.
It's a movie. 6 Man. It's
6 Man.
It's a basketball movie. Marlon Wayans is in it.
Oh, that movie. Yeah. I know that movie.
Because
6 Man. I do. Yes. No, for real, I do know that movie.
So you remember the scene where his brother dunked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when his brother dunked the ball, his brother was hanging on the rim, showboating, and his brother slipped. And when he slipped, he fell down.
And hit his head.
Hit his head, and he died, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a kid, y'all might call me big now, but I ain't always been this solid. I used to be a stick. I swear I used to be a stick.
Yeah.
So I played ball, and I used to dunk all the time. Mm-hmm. That's one thing everybody, like, I was a dunker.
Yeah.
One time, and that's one reason why I stopped dunking. I dunked the ball. Mm-hmm. We was playing on the street goal. And you know the street goals. Yeah. It's the ones that, especially back where we from, mm-hmm. like, you ain't got the big gorillas. You got the little cheap joints with the black piece on the back. And you know what I'm saying? And then if you really hood, you don't put water on the inside of it. You put just some bricks on them. So that's how we used to hold it up, with bricks. So I dunked one time trying to show out. Dunk, hanging on the rim. And the rim tilted. And I landed on my back. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, like, I've been like,
I feel you.
And not even that. I done fell other times too, but that time is kind of like something, because I fell and I went straight like that, and I was just like, bro, what just happened?
Everyone has like some type of
fears
or something.
And it was like, before then, I thought, to be real, I thought I was going to be a daredevil growing up. I was like, yo, I'm going to be a daredevil. I'm going to be jumping off buildings, off roofs. Yeah. Because I fell before from jumping off stuff, and like, it's whatever. But that time, it was just something about it that resonated with me, that just said,
I'm like,
chill out. Chill out, sit your head down. But, and I can't, like, with stuff like that, I just be like, bro, y'all are really, and especially, you 60-some floors high.
Yeah.
Like,
this is my thing.
Even free climbing, you could have slipped and fell
You
anytime.
could have slipped and fell anytime. But my thing is, at least if you're going to do things like this, because there's been many people before that's done things like this, have a team.
Have somebody with you.
Have a team. Have somebody with you. Somebody that is trained to be able to understand or recognize like something's not right. Like things are going wrong.
Because all you needed was somebody else there that could pull you up.
Somebody else there to pull you up. You know what I'm saying?
And you just free fall.
And then, like he said, the bad thing was that you had to climb already to the rooftop. So you are already exhausted at this point by having to climb. Like no type of equipment. Like you like free climbing like to the rooftop. You're exhausted. Yeah. You're exhausted.
I'm surprised you even got up there. 20 floors free climbing. Surprised you even got up there.
True.
And I'm surprised.
And then I really don't know how like your upper body strength
is. And to be honest, for him to be
like,
wiping for so long, he was nervous even when he wiped. I think he probably was. I'm just assuming it ain't fast, but he probably was nervous even when he wiping. Like, I don't think I could do this, but I'm so used to doing it. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, because sometimes you have those, like like trust your intuition. Like like this one feels different.
Because even when he went down and he went back up to clean again,
some more,
your intuition kicked in and said,
something's not right. Like it may be this is a little off. This one feels different. You know what I'm saying? Listen to those things and be
But to be real, how was he gonna get down? He was gonna have to climb back down. So he still was gonna have to use strength to even get. Like you got up there. I don't even think you thought about the full process of everything.
Of getting down.
He probably only thought about the process as it went. All right, I'm gonna do this, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's sad. That's sad though.
All these were sad, man.
Yeah, all of them were sad.
Like the first guy, I hated for him. He made 18, graduated.
That was sad.
He just graduated. He just graduated. Finna go out to college. You already dealt with stuff in life, and to go out like that, and you. To be real, you probably never would have done it if his friend never even asked. Because that wasn't something he wanted to do. Yeah. But he was trying to be a friend. The second one, what happened in the second one?
Oh, the second one with the narco.
Oh, the narco thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that was preventable. I really feel like it's because the thing he did previously before. I really feel...
It's like I said, with that situation, I don't really know, like, full details, lifestyle things, like, you know, because things eventually, like, you know,
but you in that life,
you know, that
life is dangerous,
up to you, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, not just being a performer.
No,
it's the type of music and things you were shedding a light on, and that's what it was. You were shedding a light onto something obviously they didn't want. You know
but then it could be deeper.
Yeah, like, it could be still from the person he killed.
Because we don't know his life. We don't know the full backstory. So it could be deeper.
I just wish he didn't go back home. Yeah. I wish he just didn't go back home. Once you leave, stay away. Don't go back. Even if family wants you to come back. Yeah. Even if family wants you to come back, they ain't thinking about work. Because they're not in your position.
But they didn't want him. His cousin.
I'm just saying anybody.
But anybody. Just hypothetically.
Once you become successful, especially a publicized success, your family won't understand. Yeah. And it's not even on you to even make them understand. You
have to come to me.
It's not. I'll pay for you to be able to come to me. Yeah. But I cannot go back. Yeah. And some people got to realize that. Yeah. But family won't understand. Yeah. But with that being said, man, y'all spam what's up. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions down below. But as always, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ Kid This Is. We are. We are.
Go and get it. Ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar.